Picture this. I'm staring at the stars, the same ones I've spent my life chasing, plotting trajectories to Mars, dreaming of cities in the sky, and yet, right now, I'm grounded by a single question that burns brighter than any rocket flame. It's not about love in the way poets scribble or movies dramatize. No, it's deeper, rawer, more primal. What if the most critical question in life isn't who you love, but who you'll listen to when the world feels like it's collapsing under its own gravity? That question, my future wife, is where our story begins. It's not a soft whisper, it's a roar, a challenge, a dare to you, yes, you, the woman who will stand beside me in this wild, unpredictable universe. Will you hear this letter? Will you lean in, not just with your ears, but with your soul, catching the signals in the silence, the dreams I haven't yet spoken, the fears I've buried beneath layers of ambition? This isn't a love letter in the traditional sense. It's a launch sequence, a blueprint for a mission bigger than both of us. And it starts with curiosity, a relentless, unapologetic curiosity that will fuel our journey. I'm not here to promise you a fairy tale. Fairy tales are for people who want comfort, not truth. I'm talking about something real, something that withstands the turbulence of reentry, the kind of bond that doesn't just survive, but thrives in the chaos of life. You see, I've built rockets that defy gravity, cars that outrun the wind, and tunnels that carve through the Earth's stubborn crust. But none of that compares to the challenge of building a life with someone who dares to ask the hard questions, who listens not just to respond, but to understand. That's you, I believe. You're not just a partner, you're a co-explorer, a woman who looks at the unknown and says, let's figure it out. This letter is my first signal to you, a beacon sent across the void, hoping you'll catch it, decode it, and send one back. Because love, real love, isn't about grand gestures or polished promises. It's about attention, fierce, unwavering attention to the person standing in front of you, especially when the weight of the world feels like 1,000 pounds per square inch. Think about it. When was the last time someone truly listened to you? Not the half-hearted nod while scrolling a phone, not the distracted uh-huh while their mind's elsewhere, but the kind of listening that makes you feel seen, like your thoughts are the only thing that matters in that moment. That's rare. Rarer than a perfect launch window. In a world drowning in noise tweets, notifications, endless chatter, listening is a rebellion. It's a choice to silence the chaos and say, you are my focus. Your words, your pauses, your unspoken hopes, they matter. I've spent my life chasing breakthroughs, from reusable rockets to neural interfaces, and I can tell you this, no innovation, no matter how groundbreaking, feels as powerful as being truly heard. That's what I want for us. A partnership where we don't just hear each other, but absorb the intention behind the words, where we catch the subtle shifts in tone, the way your voice might waver when you're scared or soar when you're dreaming. That's the kind of listening that builds trust, the kind that turns two people into a force stronger than any physics equation. I'm not naive. I know life isn't a clean trajectory. It's messy, like a prototype failing at 10,000 feet. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when the mission feels impossible, when the world screams at us to give up. But here's the thing. I'm not looking for someone who wants easy. I'm looking for you, the woman who sees the storm and steps into it, who grabs my hand and says, we'll find a way. That's what explorers do. That's what we'll do. I've failed before spectacularly, publicly, with explosions that lit up the sky. But every failure taught me something. Resilience isn't about avoiding the crash, it's about rebuilding from the wreckage, stronger, smarter, ready to launch again. Our love will be like that. Not perfect, but relentless. We'll fail, we'll learn, we'll iterate, and through it all, we'll listen, really listen to what the other needs, what the other fears, what the other dreams. You might be wondering, why listening? Why not passion or commitment or chemistry? Don't get me wrong, those matter. But passion fades like a matchstick flame, bright for a moment, then gone. Commitment can waver under pressure. Chemistry? It's just the spark that starts the engine. Listening is the fuel that keeps it running, year after year, decade after decade. It's the act of saying, I'm here, fully present, not distracted by the next big idea or the latest crisis. I've spent my life solving problems that seem impossible, colonizing Mars, rewiring the human brain, rethinking energy for a planet on the brink. But the hardest problem, the one worth solving, is how to stay connected to another human being through the chaos of life. That's where you come in. You're not just my future wife. You're my partner in this experiment, the one who'll ask, what's driving you today? And mean it. The one who'll hear the answer and build on it, turning a single question into a conversation that could last a lifetime. Let me paint a picture. Imagine us, late at night, sitting in a room filled with sketches of impossible machines, star charts, and half-finished equations. The world outside is loud, demanding, pulling us in a million directions. But in that moment, it's just us. You look at me, and instead of asking about the next launch or the latest headline, you say, "What's the one thing you're afraid to say out loud?" And I pause, not because I don't trust you, but because I'm not used to someone diving that deep past the surface of ambition and into the core of who I am. That's the moment I know you're the one. That's when I feel safe enough to share the parts of me I've kept locked away, the doubts, the dreams, the questions I haven't even answered for myself. And when I ask you the same, I'll listen, not to fix or solve, but to understand, to hold space for your truth, no matter how messy or raw. This isn't about romance in the Hollywood sense. It's about something fiercer, something that can withstand the vacuum of space and the heat of reentry. It's about building a bond that's as strong as carbon fiber, as adaptable as a neural network. You, my future wife, are the woman who gets that. Um, you're not intimidated by big ideas or big failures. You're the one who sees the chaos of my world deadlines, critics, impossible deadlines, and says, "I'm in. Let's make it work." You're the one who knows that love isn't a static state, but a dynamic process, one that demands curiosity, resilience, and a willingness to keep asking questions even when the answers aren't easy. That's why this letter exists. It's not just words on a page. It's a signal flare, a call to you, wherever you are, to join me in this mission, to listen, to explore, to build something extraordinary together. I've always believed that the future belongs to those who dare to imagine it. That's why I've spent my life pushing boundaries from electric cars to interplanetary travel. But the greatest frontier isn't out there in the stars. It's right here in the space between two people who choose each other day after day, question after question. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for you, the woman who hears this letter and feels something stir a spark of recognition, a pull toward a shared vision. You're out there, I know it. And when we find each other, we'll start with this question: who will you listen to when everything feels heavy? My bet is on you. My hope is that you'll bet on me too. So let's begin. Let's launch this thing, not with a countdown, but with a conversation, one that starts now and never stops. Here we are, my future wife, standing at the edge of something vast, something uncharted, like pioneers staring into a new frontier. The question that launched us in the first part about who you'll listen to when the world feels heavy, it's not just a spark to ignite our journey. It's the fuel that keeps us moving, the oxygen that powers our rocket through the void. Listening, real listening, is the lifeblood of a connection that doesn't just endure, but grows stronger with every challenge. This isn't about hearing words bounce off your eardrums. It's about diving into the spaces between catching the unspoken, the dreams you're afraid to voice, the fears you've tucked away like blueprints for a mission you're not sure you can pull off. You, the woman who will stand beside me, you're not just my partner, you're the one who will hear the hum of my thoughts, the rhythm of my silences, and turn them into something we can build together. This is where our love becomes more than a feeling. It becomes a force, as unstoppable as a rocket breaking free from Earth's pull. Let's get one thing straight. The world I live in is loud. It's a cacophony of deadlines, critics, and the relentless hum of ambition, mine and everyone else's. Tweets fly faster than light, opinions crash like asteroids, and the pressure to keep pushing, to keep inventing, to keep proving can feel like 1,000 pounds per square inch crushing down on you. In that chaos, listening isn't just a nice gesture, it's a radical act. It's you, looking at me across a table littered with star charts and half-finished ideas, putting down your phone, ignoring the ping of notifications, and saying with your eyes, "I'm here. I'm all in." That's power. That's love in its purest form, not a declaration shouted to the world, but a quiet choice to make me the center of your universe, even for a moment. And I promise you I'll do the same. When you speak, when your voice cracks with doubt or soars with excitement, I'll be there, not just nodding, but leaning in, catching every nuance, every shift, because your truth matters more than any headline or breakthrough. Why does this matter so much? Because I've seen what happens when listening stops. I've watched relationships, friendships, partnerships, even dreams crumble, not because of betrayal or distance, but because someone stopped paying attention. Someone stopped hearing the quiet plea beneath the words, the "I'm fine," that's really a cry for help, the "it's okay," that's hiding a storm. I've been in rooms where people talk over each other, chasing their own agendas, and it's like watching a rocket disintegrate mid-flight because no one checked the bolts. That's not us. You and I, we're different. We're builders, explorers, engineers of a bond that can withstand anything because we choose to listen not just when it's easy, when the skies are clear and the mission's on track, but when the turbulence hits, when the world feels like it's spinning out of control. You'll hear me when I'm grappling with a failure that feels like a punch to the gut, and I'll hear you when you're wrestling with a dream that feels too big to hold alone. That's our pact, to be the safe harbor for each other's truths, no matter how raw or unpolished. Imagine this. We're sitting in a quiet corner, maybe after a long day of wrestling with impossible problems, mine, colonizing a distant planet, yours, whatever mountain you're climbing in your own world. You start to speak, and I can tell it's not just words, it's a piece of you, a fragment of a dream, a worry you've carried like a heavy payload. Maybe it's about a goal you're afraid you'll never reach, or a memory that still stings like a burn from a failed test flight. I don't interrupt. I don't jump in with solutions or try to fix it like I would a broken circuit. I listen. I let your words fill the space, let your emotions ripple like waves across a still lake. And when you pause, I ask, what does that mean to you? Why does it feel so heavy? Not because I want to analyze you like a data set, but because I want to know you, the real you, the one beneath the surface. That's when you'll feel it, the safety, the trust, the kind of connection that makes you feel like you can take on the universe. And when it's my turn, when I'm the one unraveling, you'll do the same. You'll hear the cracks in my voice, the weight of a vision that keeps me up at night, and you'll hold space for it, not with pity, but with strength, with a fire that says, we'll figure this out together. This kind of listening isn't passive. It's not sitting back and waiting for your turn to talk. It's active, like piloting a spacecraft through a meteor shower. It takes focus, discipline, humility. Humility, let's talk about that for a second. I've spent my life chasing big ideas, pushing boundaries that others called impossible. It's easy to get lost in the ego of that, to think you've got all the answers. But love, real love, demands you set that aside. It asks you to say, your story matters more than my need to be right. That's hard. The ego hates silence. It wants to dominate, to fill the air with clever comebacks or grand plans. But when I listen to you, when I let your words take the lead, I'm saying, you're my priority. Your experience is my mission right now. And when you do that for me, when you hear me out, not just the polished parts, but the messy, uncertain, still in beta parts, that's when I know we're building something real, something that can last longer than any rocket I've ever launched. You might be thinking, okay, but what does this look like in practice? It's not always dramatic. It's not always about sitting down for a heart to heart under the stars. Sometimes it's the small moments, the way you notice my shoulders slump after a brutal day and ask, what's weighing on you, without expecting a quick fix. Or the way I catch the flicker of excitement in your eyes when you talk about something you love, and I say, tell me more. What's got you so fired up? Those moments, they're like the tiny thrusters that keep a spacecraft on course. Miss one, and you drift. Nail them, and you stay locked in, heading toward a destination you can't even fully see yet. That's what I want for us. A love that's built on 1,000 small acts of attention, each one saying, I see you, I hear you, you're not alone. And here's the thing, listening isn't just about understanding each other, it's about amplifying each other. When you share a win, a project you crushed, a dream you're chasing, I don't just nod and move on. I lean in, I celebrate with you, I ask, what made that moment feel so alive for you? And suddenly, your joy isn't just yours, it's ours, multiplied like a signal boosted across light years. The same goes for the hard stuff. When you're struggling, when the weight of the world feels like it's crushing you, I'm not here to throw out quick fixes or platitudes. I'm here to listen, to ask, what do you need right now? And mean it. That's how we turn pain into progress, how we take the raw data of life and turn it into something meaningful. You, my future wife, you're the one who gets this. You're the woman who knows that listening isn't just a skill, it's a superpower, one that can transform two people into a team that's stronger than the sum of its parts. I've spent my life solving problems that seem impossible, building reusable rockets, digging tunnels through mountains, linking brains to machines. But the greatest challenge, the one that keeps me up at night, is this. How do you build a connection that lasts not just for a season, but for a lifetime? The answer starts with listening. Not the kind that's polite or perfunctory, but the kind that's fierce, intentional, alive. It's you hearing the tremor in my voice when I talk about a dream that feels too big, and me hearing the quiet strength in yours when you share a fear you've never told anyone. It's us choosing over and over to show up, to pay attention, to make each other the mission. That's the fuel that will carry us through the storms, the failures, the moments when the world feels like it's pulling us apart. And it's why I believe with every fiber of my being that you, the woman reading this, the woman who feels this in her bones, will be the one to hear this letter and say, I'm ready. Let's build this together. All right, my future wife, let's shift gears. We've talked about the question that sparks our journey and the listening that fuels it. Now, let's get to the heart of what we're building together. A marriage that's not a fairy tale, not a straight line, but a rocket launch, wild, unpredictable, and forged in the fire of trial and error. Picture a SpaceX pad at Cape Canaveral, the Falcon Heavy standing tall, engines roaring, ready to break free from Earth's grip. That's us. Not perfect, not polished, but bold, ready to defy gravity and soar into the unknown. This isn't about a smooth ride. It's about embracing the turbulence, the failures, the moments when the whole world thinks we're crazy, and proving them wrong by rebuilding stronger every time we crash. You, the woman who'll stand with me, you're not here for a safe orbit. You're here for the audacious, messy, exhilarating mission of building a life together, one that's as resilient as carbon fiber and as ambitious as a colony on Mars. Let's be real. The world loves to sell us a clean story about love. Movies show couples locking eyes, music swelling, everything falling into place like a pre-programmed flight path. But I've built enough rockets to know that nothing worth doing follows a script. The first Falcon blew up 3 times before it reached orbit. 3 times I watched years of work turn into fireballs, and each time we didn't quit, we learned, we tweaked, we relaunched. That's what our marriage will be. Not a perfect ascent, but a series of launches, some that soar, some that explode, all of them teaching us how to fly better. You're the woman who gets that, who sees a setback not as the end, but as data, a chance to recalibrate and try again. When the world throws storms at us, doubt, exhaustion, the noise of a million opinions, you'll grab my hand, look me in the eye, and say, let's figure out what went wrong and build it better. That's not just love, that's engineering a future together. Here's the truth. A marriage isn't a destination. It's not a place you arrive at, plant a flag, and call it done. It's a process, a relentless iteration, like designing a spacecraft that can land on another planet and take off again. There will be moments when we miss the mark. Maybe I'll get lost in a project, chasing a deadline that feels like it could change the world, and I'll forget to check in with you to ask what's on your mind. Or maybe you'll hit a wall, wrestling with your own ambitions or fears, and you'll pull back, unsure how to let me in. Those are our failures, our explosions. But here's where we're different. We don't walk away from the wreckage. We sift through it piece by piece, asking, what can we learn? How do we make this stronger? That's the mindset that turned a failing rocket into one that lands upright on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean. And it's the mindset that'll turn our missteps into milestones. Imagine us in one of those moments. The air is thick with tension. Maybe it's a fight about something small, like who forgot to handle a detail, or something big, like a dream one of us feels the other doesn't get. The easy thing would be to dig in, to defend our corners, to let pride steer the ship. But you and I were not built that way. Instead, we pause. I look at you, see the fire in your eyes, the strength that drew me to you, and I say, help me understand what's driving this for you. You lean in, maybe hesitant at first, but then you share the real stuff, the raw, unfiltered truth about what's weighing on you. And I don't just hear it, I absorb it like a satellite picking up a faint signal from deep space. That's when the magic happens. The argument stops being a battle and becomes a diagnostic, a chance to debug the system, to find the weak spot and reinforce it. That's how we grow, not by avoiding conflict, but by diving into it with the courage to learn and the commitment to come out stronger. You, my future wife, you're the kind of woman who thrives in that kind of challenge. You're not afraid of the hard stuff. You're the one who looks at a problem, whether it's a broken plan or a bruised heart, and says, we can fix this. I see you standing tall with the same grit I've seen in engineers who work through the night to solve a problem no one else believes is solvable. You're not just my partner, you're my co-founder in this venture, the one who brings her own strength, her own vision to the table. And that's crucial because here's the paradox. To build a marriage that's unbreakable, we both have to stay whole as individuals. I don't want you to lose yourself in me, and I won't lose myself in you. We're two strong forces, like twin engines on a rocket, each powerful on its own but exponential together. Your independence, your dreams, your fire, your ability to stand your ground, that's not a threat to our love. It's the foundation that makes it possible. Think about what it takes to launch something into space. Every part has to be tested, stressed, pushed to its limits. The heat shield has to withstand thousands of degrees. The thrusters have to fire with precision. The structure has to hold under forces that would tear anything less apart. Our marriage will face its own tests, moments when life feels like it's trying to rip us apart at the seams. Maybe it's the pressure of my work, the endless pull of a mission that never sleeps. Maybe it's your own battles, the goals you're chasing, the weight of expectations you carry. But here's what I know. We'll face those tests together, not by pretending they don't exist, but by meeting them head on. When the heat's on, when the world feels like it's burning up around us, you'll be the one who says, "We've got this. Let's keep going." And I'll be right there, matching your resolve, ready to relaunch as many times as it takes. This mindset, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. Every failure we face, every argument, every moment we stumble is a chance to build something better. I've seen it in my work. The rockets that crashed taught us more than the ones that flew perfectly. The same goes for us. The moments when we're at odds, when we're struggling to find our footing, those are the moments that'll define us. Not because we fought, but because we fought through it together with the same tenacity that's driven me to keep pushing when everyone else said it was impossible. You're the woman who gets that, who sees a challenge and leans into it, who knows that the beauty of a journey isn't in its perfection, but in its persistence. That's why I'm writing this to you, because I believe you're out there ready to join me in this relentless, exhilarating experiment of building a life together, one relaunch at a time. Let's paint a picture. We're years into this, maybe sitting in a house we've made our own, surrounded by the chaos of life. Maybe it's kids running around. Maybe it's the hum of a world that never slows down. Something's gone wrong. Maybe it's a decision we didn't see eye to eye on, or a moment when one of us felt overlooked. The air feels heavy, like the atmosphere before a storm. But instead of letting it fester, we do what we've always done. We turn toward each other. You look at me, your eyes steady, and say, "Let's talk this through. What's really going on here?" And I don't deflect or dodge. I open up, maybe slower than I'd like, but I do it because I know you're not here to judge, you're here to understand. And when it's your turn, I'm there, not just listening, but digging in, asking the questions that help us find the root of the problem, not to win, but to grow. That's our edge. That's what makes us different. We don't run from the fire. We walk through it hand in hand, knowing that every challenge is just another chance to make our bond stronger. In the end, this is about more than just us. It's about building something bigger, a vision, a legacy, a mission that outlives us. Every rocket I've launched, every tunnel I've dug, every crazy idea I've chased, it's all been about pushing humanity forward, about refusing to accept limits. Our marriage will be the same. It's not just about two people, it's about what we create together, the way we inspire each other to be more, to dream bigger, to keep going when the odds are stacked against us. You, my future wife, you're the one who'll make that possible. You're the one who'll stand with me, not as a shadow, but as a force. A woman who knows that love isn't about avoiding failure, it's about embracing it, learning from it, and launching again, together, toward a future that's as bold as we are. All right, my future wife, we've laid the groundwork. We've tackled the question that ignites our journey, the listening that fuels it, and the resilience that keeps us soaring through failures. Now, let's talk about the engine that'll drive us through the stars, the force that keeps our love alive, not just for years, but for decades. Curiosity. Not the fleeting kind, the surface level buzz of first dates or small talk, but the deep, relentless, almost obsessive need to know you, every layer, every dream, every unspoken wish that flickers in your eyes when you think no one's watching. This is the spark that powers explorers, the drive that sent me chasing impossible missions from electric cars to Martian colonies, and it's the same spark that'll keep our marriage from ever growing stale. You, the woman who will stand with me, you're not just my partner, you're a mystery. I'll never stop exploring a universe of thoughts and dreams. I'll spend my life mapping, question by question, moment by moment. Let's cut through the noise. The world loves to tell us love is about fireworks, big gestures, grand declarations, Instagram-worthy moments that scream, "We're in love." But fireworks fade. They light up the sky for a second, then vanish into smoke. Curiosity? That's different. It's the slow-burning fusion reactor that powers a starship across light years. It's you looking at me after a long day, when I'm buried in schematics or wrestling with a problem that feels bigger than the sun, and asking, "What's got you so consumed right now?" Not because you want a quick answer, but because you want to dive into my world to understand what's driving me, what's keeping me up at night. And it's me watching you chase your own passions. Maybe it's your career, your art, your vision for changing the world, and saying, what's the one thing you're dreaming of that you haven't told anyone yet? Those questions aren't just conversation starters, they're lifelines, keeping us tethered to each other, ensuring we never stop discovering the people we're becoming. Here's the thing: people change. You're not the same woman today that you were 10 years ago, and I'm not the same man. Our dreams evolve, our fears shift, our ambitions take new shapes. That's not a flaw, it's what makes us human, what makes us alive. But too many relationships die because people stop asking questions. They assume they know each other every quirk, every story, every hope, and they let routine creep in like rust on a neglected machine. Not us. You and I were explorers, not settlers. We don't plant a flag and call it done. We keep moving, keep digging, keep asking, what's new with you? What's changed? What's the one thing you're afraid to say out loud? That's the mindset that's driven me to build things the world said couldn't be built, and it's the mindset that'll keep our love as dynamic as a rocket in mid-flight. Picture this: we're walking through a city. Maybe it's a place we've never been, the streets buzzing with life, the air thick with possibility. You point to a bookstore, one of those old, cluttered ones with stacks of books spilling onto the floor. We wander in, and I don't just browse, I turn to you and say, pick a book that feels like it's calling to you right now. Tell me why. And you do. Maybe it's a novel that reminds you of a piece of your past, or a manifesto that's fueling your fire for the future. I listen not just to the words, but to the why behind them, the piece of your soul you're sharing without even realizing it. And later, when we're back home, maybe I catch you staring out a window, lost in thought. Instead of letting the moment pass, I ask, what's on your mind? What's pulling you away? And you open up, not because I demanded it, but because, I'm genuinely curious, that I see you as a landscape that's always shifting, always worth exploring. That curiosity, it's not just about the big moments, it's in the small ones too, the quiet evenings when we're just sitting together, the world outside fading away. Maybe I'm sketching out a new idea, something crazy like a hyperloop to the moon, and you lean over and say, what's the wildest thing you've thought about today? And I laugh because it's you, and I know you're not just humoring me. You want to know. So I tell you, and it's not just about the idea, it's about the spark behind it, the part of me that's still a kid dreaming of stars. And when it's your turn, I ask, what's the one thing you wish you could do if fear wasn't in the way? And your answer, it's not just an answer. It's a window into who you are, who you're becoming, and it pulls me in, makes me want to know more, to keep exploring you like a planet I'll never fully chart. This isn't just about keeping things interesting, it's about survival. Without curiosity, relationships suffocate. They become predictable, and predictability is the enemy of growth. I've seen it in my work. The moment you think you've got it all figured out, that's when you miss the flaw in the design, the crack that brings the whole thing down. In love, it's the same. If we stop asking questions, if we start assuming we know each other completely, we're done. Not because we don't love each other, but because we've stopped seeing each other as the complex, evolving, infinite beings we are. You, my future wife, you're not a puzzle I'll ever solve. You're a galaxy full of stars I haven't named yet, and I want to spend my life discovering them. That's why I'll keep asking, keep probing, keep wondering, not out of doubt, but out of awe, out of a hunger to know you more deeply than I did yesterday. And here's the flip side: curiosity isn't just about me exploring you, it's about you exploring me too. I'm not an open book. I'm a labyrinth full of twists and turns, ideas that don't always make sense, dreams that sometimes scare even me. But when you ask what's driving you right now, what's the one thing you're not saying, you're not just asking a question, you're unlocking a part of me I might not have even seen myself. That's power. That's what makes you extraordinary. The woman who doesn't just accept me at face value, but dives deeper, who sees the chaos of my mind and says, let's map this together. And when we do, when we both bring that curiosity to the table, we're not just two people sharing a life. We're a team, a partnership that's always evolving, always pushing the boundaries of what we can be together. This curiosity, it's what turns conflict into growth, too. When we disagree, when the tension rises like the heat of a rocket's engines, curiosity is our shield. Instead of fighting to win, we fight to understand. You say something that stings, and instead of firing back, I pause and ask, what's behind that? What's making you feel this way? And you do the same for me. Suddenly, The argument isn't a war, it's a discovery mission. We're not tearing each other down. We're uncovering new truths, new pieces of each other that make us stronger. That's how we'll turn every challenge into a chance to grow, every misstep into a step towards something greater. It's not about being right, it's about being real, about staying open to the mystery of who we are and who we're becoming. I've spent my life chasing the unknown, building machines that defy gravity, dreaming of cities on distant planets, but the greatest unknown, the one that thrills me most, is you. You're not a problem to solve or a goal to achieve. You're a journey, one I want to take every day, with every question I ask, every answer you give. You're the woman who'll keep me curious, who will challenge me to keep exploring, not just the universe out there, but the universe between us. And I'll do the same for you, because that's what love is, a refusal to stop discovering, a commitment to keep asking, who are you today? That's the engine that'll carry us through a lifetime, my future wife. That's the curiosity that'll make our love not just endure, but burn brighter with every passing year. My future wife, we've journeyed through the spark of the question that binds us, the listening that fuels us, the resilience that rebuilds us, and the curiosity that keeps us exploring. Now, let's face the inevitable. Conflict. It's not the enemy. It's not a crack in the hull of our rocket. It's data raw, messy, vital data that, if we handle it right, propels us to new heights. Picture us in the heat of a moment, tension crackling like static before a launch. The world might expect us to clash like meteors, to defend our corners, to fight for victory. But you and I, we're different. We're not here to win arguments. We're here to mine them, to extract the insights that make us stronger together. Conflict in our marriage isn't a war, it's a diagnostic, a chance to debug the system, to turn friction to forward motion. You, the woman who'll stand with me, you're not afraid of the sparks. You're the one who sees them as signals, guiding us to deeper understanding, to a bond that's tougher than titanium and more adaptive than any AI I've ever dreamed up. Let's strip this down. Conflict is part of any mission worth pursuing. I've seen it in every project I've touched, rockets that misfired, tunnels that hit bedrock, ideas that crashed before they could fly. The difference between failure and progress isn't the absence of problems, it's how you respond to them. In our marriage, when we hit turbulence, whether it's a disagreement over something small, like who's handling what, or something massive, like a dream, one of us feels the other doesn't see, we don't retreat. We lean in, we treat it like a systems check, asking, what's really going on here? What's the signal behind the noise? That's where you shine, my future wife. You're the woman who doesn't flinch when the air gets heavy, who looks at me with those steady eyes and says, let's break this down. What's driving this for you? And I'll match that energy, digging past my own defenses to ask, what am I missing? What do you need me to see? That's not just love, that's engineering a partnership that can withstand any storm. Imagine a moment. We're in the middle of a heated exchange. Maybe I've been lost in work, chasing a deadline that feels like it could shift the course of humanity, and you feel like I've left you on the sidelines. Or maybe you've been pouring your heart into something, a project, a passion, a cause, and I haven't caught on, haven't given it the weight it deserves. The easy path would be to escalate, to let pride steer the ship, to fire off words we'd both regret. But we're not built for easy. Instead, you take a breath, and with that fire in your soul, you say, I need you to understand why this hurts. And I don't snap back. I pause like I would before a critical launch decision, and I ask, tell me what I'm not seeing. What's the root of this? That moment, that choice to turn toward each other instead of away, it's the pivot point. It's where conflict stops being a threat and becomes a tool, a way to uncover truths we might have missed, to strengthen the wiring of our connection. This approach, it's not about avoiding fights. I'm not naive enough to think we'll never disagree. I've spent my life pushing boundaries, challenging the status quo, and that's not exactly a recipe for calm waters. You're the same, a woman with her own fire, her own vision, her own battles. That's why I'm drawn to you. But when our strong wills collide, we don't let it tear us apart. We use it like engineers analyzing a failed test. We ask questions. What's the real issue here? Is it fear? Is it misunderstanding? Is it something deeper we haven't named yet? Those questions are our thrusters, keeping us on course when the world wants to knock us off. They're what make you, my future wife, extraordinary, not just your strength, but your willingness to dive into the mess, to treat every clash as a chance to learn, to grow, to build something better. Let's paint another picture. It's late, maybe we're in a quiet room, the kind of quiet that feels heavy after a day of chaos. Something's off. Maybe it's a decision we made together that's gone sideways. or a moment when one of us felt unheard. The air's thick, like the atmosphere, before a rocket's engines ignite. Most people would let that tension fester, let it build into a wall, but not us. You look at me, your eyes sharp but not cruel, and say, I'm not mad, but I need you to get why this matters to me. And I don't brush it off or hide behind my own agenda. I lean in, ask, what's at stake for you here? What am I not catching? And as you talk, I see it the piece of you I missed, the dream or fear or hope that's driving this. It's not about who's right, it's about what's true. And when it's my turn, when I'm the one unraveling, you're there asking the questions that cut through my walls, that help me see myself clearer. That's how we turn conflict into connection, how we take the raw energy of disagreement and channel it into growth. This mindset, it's what separates a good marriage from a great one. I've seen it in my work. The difference between a rocket that crashes and one that lands is in how you handle the data from the crash. You don't ignore it, you study it, obsess over it, use it to make the next launch better. In our marriage, every argument, every moment of friction is data. It's telling us something about what we value, what we fear, what we need. And you, my future wife, you're the woman who gets that. You're not here to smooth things over or pretend everything's fine. You're here to dig in, to ask the hard questions, to say, let's figure this out together. That's what makes you my partner in this mission, the one who sees conflict not as a threat, but as a signal, a chance to recalibrate and come back stronger. And here's the deeper truth: conflict doesn't just test us, it reveals us. It shows who we are when the stakes are high, when emotions are raw. I've spent my life in high stakes environments, launch pads, boardrooms, moments when one wrong move could cost everything. I know what it's like to face pressure that feels like it could crush you. But with you, I'm not facing it alone. You're the woman who stands with me, not as a bystander, but as a co pilot ready to navigate the storm. When we hit those moments of tension, you don't back down, and neither do I. We meet them head on with the same tenacity that's driven me to keep going when the world said stop. And in those moments, we'll see each other, not just the polished versions we show the world, but the real, messy human parts. That's where love grows, not in the easy moments, but in the ones that demand we show up fully for each other. This isn't about pretending conflict won't happen, it will. We're two strong willed people, each with our own dreams, our own battles, but that's our strength, not our weakness. Our conflicts will be like the stress tests we run on rockets, pushing the limits to see what holds, what breaks, what needs to be stronger. And every time we come through, every time we choose to ask instead of accuse, to understand instead of overpower, we're building something unbreakable. You, my future wife, you're the one who makes that possible. You're the woman who sees the fire of conflict and says, let's use this. Let's make it fuel. And together, we'll turn every challenge into a chance to grow, every clash into a step toward a love that's not just enduring, but unstoppable. My future wife, we've charted the spark that ignites our journey, the listening that fuels it, the resilience that rebuilds us, the curiosity that drives us, and the conflicts that refine us. Now, let's zoom in on something the world often overlooks: the small moments. Not the grand gestures or the headline making milestones, but the quiet, everyday choices that act like the thousand tiny bolts holding a rocket together. Miss one, and the whole structure wobbles. Get them right, and we're soaring, stable, unstoppable. These moments, the way you glance at me with a question in your eyes, the way I choose to pause and really see you, they're the glue of our love, the micro decisions that build a bond stronger than any force I've ever engineered. You, the woman who will stand with me, you're the one who knows that love isn't just about the big launches, it's about the daily work of tightening those bolts, of choosing each other in the smallest, most human ways. Let's be clear, the world is obsessed with spectacle. People chase the dramatic, the viral proposal, the extravagant vow, the moment that screams, look at us. But I've built enough machines to know that spectacle doesn't last. A rocket doesn't fly because of its shiny exterior. It flies because every single bolt, every weld, every wire is meticulously placed, checked, and rechecked. Our marriage will be the same. It's not the sweeping declarations that'll define us. It's the choice to show up day after day in the quiet spaces where no one else is watching. It's me noticing the way your shoulders tense after a tough day and saying, hey, talk to me, what's going on? It's you catching the flicker of exhaustion in my voice, even when I'm pretending everything's fine, and gently asking, what do you need right now? Those choices, they're not flashy. They don't make headlines, but they're the threads that weave our lives together, the ones that make you feel safe, seen, and cherished in a way no grand gesture ever could. Picture this. It's an ordinary morning, maybe a Tuesday, the kind of day that blends into the blur of life. I'm up early, scribbling notes for a project that's consuming me, maybe a new propulsion system or a wild idea for sustainable energy on Mars. You walk into the room, coffee in hand, and instead of rushing past, you pause. You see the chaos of papers, the intensity in my eyes, and you don't just say, "Good luck with that." You sit down, look at me, and ask, "What's the one piece of this you're most excited about?" And in that moment, I feel it, the weight of the world lifts just a little, because you didn't just see the work, you saw me. Later that day, maybe I notice you're quieter than usual, lost in a thought you haven't shared. Instead of letting it slide, I put down my phone, turn to you and say, "What's on your mind? No pressure, just want to know." And when you open up, even if it's just a small piece of your world, a worry, a hope, a random memory, it's like we've tightened another bolt, made our connection that much stronger. These moments, they're not accidents, they're choices. Every time we choose to notice, to ask, to care, we're building something. I've spent my life obsessing over details, calibrating thrusters to the fraction of an inch, fine-tuning algorithms to shave milliseconds off a process. That's how you build something that can survive the vacuum of space. In our marriage, it's the same principle. It's choosing to notice when you're carrying something heavy, even if you haven't said it out loud. It's choosing to share a piece of my world with you, even when I'm tempted to keep it locked away. It's choosing to laugh together over something small, a bad joke, a quirky habit, because those shared moments are the rivets that hold us steady when life tries to shake us apart. Here's the deeper truth. These small moments are where trust lives. Trust isn't built in a single dramatic leap. It's built in the accumulation of 1,000 tiny acts when you know I'll notice when you're off, when I know you'll ask about the thing I'm avoiding. I've seen what happens when people overlook the details. A rocket fails because of one loose bolt, one unchecked valve. A relationship falters because of one missed moment, one chance to connect that got ignored. Not us. You and I were meticulous. We're the kind of team that checks every bolt, not because we're afraid, but because we know what's at stake. You're the woman who sees the power in the small things, the way a single question can shift the mood of a room, the way a shared glance can say more than 1,000 words. And I'm the man who will match that, who will show up in those moments, not just with my mind, but with my heart. Let's imagine another scene. We're driving somewhere, maybe a long road trip, the kind where the miles stretch out like an open galaxy. The radio's low, the world outside is a blur, and we're just us. You start talking about something, a dream you've been chewing on, maybe a project you're not sure you can pull off. I don't just nod or change the subject. I ask, "What's the one thing about this that keeps you up at night?" And you share, maybe hesitantly at first, but then deeper, because, I'm not just asking to fill the silence. I'm asking because I want to know you, the real you, the one who's wrestling with something bigger than herself. And later, when I'm the one who's quiet, lost in a thought about a failure that's eating at me, you don't let it pass. You say, "Hey, I can see you're carrying something. Want to let me in?" And I do, because I know you're not just my partner, you're my safe harbor, the one who makes it okay to be human, to be imperfect. These small moments, they're what make joy multiply too. When you share a win, something you nailed at work, a passion project that's finally taking off, I don't just say, "That's great." I lean in, ask, "What was the moment you knew you had it?" And your excitement becomes ours, amplified like a signal boosted across a star system. Or when we're laughing over something silly, maybe a bad pun, I couldn't resist. You don't just roll your eyes, you toss one back, and suddenly we're in this loop of joy, building a memory out of nothing but a shared second. Those moments, they're not just fleeting, they're the foundation, the bolts that keep us grounded when the world tries to pull us apart. They're what make you my future wife, not just my love, but my home, the place where I can be fully myself and where you know you can be fully you. I spent my life building things that last, machines that defy gravity, systems that outlive skepticism. But the greatest thing I'll ever build is this life with you. And it's the small moments that'll make it unshakable. Every choice to notice, to ask, to care, it's a bolt, a weld, a connection that holds us together. You're the woman who gets that, who knows that love isn't about the big, loud moments, but the quiet, consistent ones. You're the one who'll meet me in those spaces, who'll build with me bolt by bolt until we've created something that can withstand anything, time, doubt, the chaos of a world that never stops spinning. That's our mission, my future wife. That's the universe we're building. one small, powerful moment at a time. My future wife, we've traveled far together in these words. We've ignited our journey with a question that cuts through the noise, fueled it with a fierce act of listening, rebuilt it through resilience, driven it with curiosity, refined it through conflict, and fortified it with the small, deliberate moments that hold us steady. Now we stand at the edge of something bigger than ourselves, a horizon that stretches beyond the stars I've spent my life chasing. This isn't just the end of a letter, it's the countdown to our launch, an invitation to you, the woman who feels these words like a pulse in her veins, to join me in building a future that's not just about two people, but about a vision, a mission, a legacy that could outshine the Sunday. You're not just my partner. You're the co-architect of something extraordinary, a love that's as bold as a rocket piercing the atmosphere, as enduring as a city on Mars. This is our moment, your moment, to step into the unknown and say, I'm ready, let's make this real. Let's talk about what this future looks like. It's not a neat package tied with a bow, not a checklist of milestones or a predictable orbit. It's a wild, uncharted trajectory, full of twists and turns, moments of breathtaking clarity and others of gut-wrenching doubt. I've built my life on defying limits, pushing cars to run on electricity, rockets to land like dancers, brains to connect with machines. But the greatest limit I want to shatter is the one that says love is just a feeling, something soft and fleeting. With you, love is a force, a kinetic energy that propels us to create something the world hasn't seen before. It's us, sitting late at night, sketching out dreams, not just mine or yours, but ours. Maybe it's a shared passion, a project that blends your fire with my vision, or maybe it's simpler a life where we inspire each other to be more, to push harder, to never settle for less than extraordinary. You, my future wife, you're the woman who sees that possibility, who feels the pull of a mission bigger than herself and says, let's build it. This isn't about perfection. I've never believed in perfect systems. Rockets fail, tunnels hit unexpected rock, ideas crash before they soar. Our love will be the same, imperfect, human, alive, but it's in that imperfection that we'll find our strength. Picture us years from now, maybe in a home we've carved out together, surrounded by the chaos of life, kids, projects, dreams that keep us up at night. The world outside is loud, pulling us in 1,000 directions, but we're anchored, not because we've avoided the storms, but because we've learned to navigate them. Maybe we're reflecting on a moment when things went wrong, a plan that fell apart, a dream that didn't land, but instead of pointing fingers, we're laughing, saying, remember how we thought that was the end? Look at us now. That's the legacy I want with you, not a life without scars, but one where every scar tells a story of how we kept going, how we chose each other, over and over, in the face of everything. You might be wondering, what makes this different from any other love story? It's this. We're not just building a relationship, we're building a purpose. Every machine I've designed, every boundary I've pushed has been about moving humanity forward, about refusing to accept the world as it is. Our marriage will be no different. It's not just about us finding happiness, it's about us creating something that inspires, that challenges, that proves what's possible when two people refuse to settle. You're the woman who gets that, who doesn't just want a life of comfort, but one of impact. Maybe it's the way you chase your own dreams, whether it's leading in your field, creating art that shifts perspectives, or fighting for a cause that lights you up. I see you, and I want to amplify that to be the one who says, go bigger, I'm with you. And I know you'll do the same for me, pushing me to keep dreaming, even when the world says it's impossible. Let's imagine one last scene. We're standing somewhere vast, maybe a desert under a sky, so clear it feels like we could touch the stars. The air is cool, the world's quiet, and it's just us. I turn to you and say, what's the one thing you want to leave behind? The mark you want to make? And you don't just answer, you share a vision, something so bold it makes my heart race. Because it's not just yours, it's ours. Maybe it's a project that changes lives, a legacy that outlives us, or maybe it's simpler the way we raise our kids to dream without limits, to question everything, to build a better world. And I share mine, not just the rockets or the tech, but the deeper why, the hunger to make life mean more, to leave a dent in the universe. In that moment, we're not just two people, we're a team, a force, architects of a future that's bigger than either of us alone. This is why I'm writing to you, why I believe you're out there. You're the woman who doesn't just read these words but feels them, who hears the call and answers with her own. You're the one who knows that love isn't a destination, it's a launch, a continuous ascent, a refusal to stop climbing. I've spent my life betting on the impossible, and I'm betting on you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're fearless, because you're ready to build with me, to face the unknown and say, We'll figure it out. This letter isn't just a message, it's a signal, a beacon sent across the cosmos, hoping you'll catch it and send one back. So here's my final question, my future wife. Are you ready? Ready to launch, to build, to create a love that's not just a story, but a revolution? I believe you are. I believe you're out there feeling this, knowing this is our moment. Let's not wait. Let's start now. The countdown's begun, and the stars are waiting.